Should you get a laser on your gun? This laser cost a whopping $280. It's a Crimson Trace on a Glock 29. And if I'm going to pull this trigger or aim this gun at a bad guy, no matter what, that laser will be engaged. Let's talk about the pros and cons of lasers on your handgun. Welcome to weaponseducation.com. Let's start the video out with a Crimson Trace on the grip of a Glock. This happens to be a 29. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like it. I wish I didn't buy it. This video is called The Pros and Cons of Lasers. And one of the cons is that if you put the laser on the grip, Glocks are already fairly large guns and blocky. This is one big package. And it's very expensive. The Crimson Trace for the Glocks range anywhere from $200 to $350. I know they've got one now that you can put up here, and it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit less money, it's about $150. But generally speaking, if it's going to be on the grip, I say no, I don't like it. Too expensive, and it makes the gun it's too thick. And that's true for any gun on these Crimson Traces that you would put on the grip. The problem with these things is they're bulky, they're cumbersome, and every time you point that gun, that laser is going to be engaged. So you don't have the option but to point that laser. So some of the problems with lasers are as follows. They're bulky, they cost money. If they're on the rail, we'll look at some guns here in a moment. If they're on the rail, it's going to be tough for you to get a holster. Zeroing in the laser is also kind of a hassle because you got to do it regularly. What I mean by that is you have to align up the laser with your sights on a regular basis. And for me, I have multiple guns with lasers, and if I grab one I haven't touched in 4 or 5 months, it's going to be 3 or 4 inches off. So I'm going to have to spend some time to zero it in. And the battery life is not all that great, in my opinion, on these lasers. That's something else to consider. So I don't like this particular type of laser. Let's look at a different type. Here's a Glock 20, 10 millimeter, another 10 millimeter. And this comes right from Glock, and it's got the light and laser on the rail. I do love the light. I do love the light. And we know what the benefits of having a light on the gun are. A lot of people say the problems with the laser is that you can give up your location, or even having a light for that matter, you can give up the location, but particularly the laser. A lot of people like the laser because they say, well, I could intimidate the bad guy. But keep in mind, you got to get a holster for this. Now this is not going to engage every time you point the gun because you have to use, I'm righty, you have to use your index finger to turn it on, okay? And this has different modes. It's right now set for light and laser at the same time. It could be light only or laser only also, but think of it, how realistic is it for you in a nanosecond if you have to defend yourself and the guy's running at you from 5 feet away with a hatchet or something and you got to shoot him. Are you going to remember to hit that little thing there and say, oh, hold on a second, let me get that red dot on you? I don't know. I just see a lot of people spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these lasers, and they're not thinking it all out too clearly because it requires a lot of additional training on your end. I'm not really so up on the lasers, to tell you the truth. I think there's a lot of marketing that went into them, which is demanding a high dollar. You can get them in the green, which is a higher quality laser, more money. It's a bit bulkier, requires a bigger battery. Most of them are the red laser, which is sufficient. But here's another problem. What if you're in a car and you're pointing, here's another laser here, you're pointing this HK, this gorgeous gun, you remembered to hit the button there, and you're in the car, and now you have to deal with the reflection of the laser on the windshield or glass, or if you're in a home and you have to defend your life through a window, and all of a sudden you turn on that laser, or the laser is automatically engaged, Now you've got reflection issues and your eyesight is going to be thrown off from the laser. I'm trying to tell you some problems you're going to run into with the laser. And this is a big package here on such a beautiful compact HK gun. I have a custom holster for this. I should have put it in the video, but it's a really beautiful ostrich skin holster, but it's huge. It's huge. And I could make the holsters custom for you. I'll put a link below if you're interested in that, because you got to think about that. Getting a holster for these type of rail systems is a hassle. We make them custom. But the point is, you got to think about how realistic it is for you to get your fingers up there. This one is the M6X made by Insight. Okay, I just went and grabbed the holster. I want to insert this. I grabbed the holster to show you what a custom-made holster for a laser light on your rail system looks like, and it is a beautiful piece of workmanship, and the gun does fit in there nice. But I just want to show you that you would have to get a custom holster made. I do that. The link is below if you want one made custom, and it's a beautiful package. But it's also a very big package. This happens to be a paddle holster, which would go on your waist, but it's the only way to accommodate this type of package. Okay, let's move on. Here's another type of laser system. I just grabbed a couple of guns. This is on a Smith & Wesson, a 357 Magnum, this little pocket cannon, and a 340 model. This is an expensive gun. This is a $1,500 gun, and one of the reasons why it was so much money, besides the scandium frame on this gorgeous little revolver, it's only 13 ounces, is because if you look right here, there's a button, and no matter what, when I point this gun, it's going to shine that laser. It's going to engage that laser. So I don't have the option of on or off with this. It's always on. And it's, to me, it's never zeroed in. It's never aligned. It's a hassle to get this thing lined up properly, zeroed in properly. So keep that in mind. Those are the cons, I think. Take a look at this Kimber Ultra Crimson Carry 2. This is a sweet package. This laser is kind of unique because it has a button right here, and you've got the option, see right there, the button's turned on, so the laser's on, and if you push the button down, the laser's off. But are you going to really remember each time you have to engage somebody in self-defense to turn your laser on or off right there with that little button? And this is a very pricey, it's a Crimson Trace built in on this Kimber. It's very pricey. It was probably an extra $300 at least for this gun to have this option. These are some of the negatives I'm talking about right now. At least this one I got the option to turn it on and off, and it's not on the rail, and it's small. It doesn't really change the grip size at all. So this is, of all the ones I showed you, I kind of like this one the best. Okay. Now let's talk about some really good positives of a light system, laser light. If you have poor eyesight and you wear glasses and they get knocked off and you can't see, now that's a great option to have a laser. If you're firing on the move, you're running, and then the perpetrator's running also, it might be easier, it will be probably easier for you to hit your target, assuming that it is zeroed in perfectly. Long distance shots, say at 50 yards, which is rare for you to defend yourself in that situation. But if it's zeroed in perfectly, you have more of a chance of hitting your target with a laser than without at a long distance shot. Most self-defense situations, as we know, are within 20-25 feet. Do you really need a laser? I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't get caught up in the hype and spend all that extra money. That's just what I think. What do you think? I know there's some good benefits for training, where you could use this to dry fire and train to see if you're flinching. You can have your instructor look at you while you're shooting at the range, and he can look at the laser and see your hand movement, and there's some benefits there with training. I'm aware of that. But I think the cost, the bulkiness, the ability to get holsters makes it more difficult. Making the grip so bulky, I think that outweighs everything. I'd rather have my gun nice and clean with some good night sights and I'm good to go. What do you think? I don't want to see anyone waste a bunch of money on lasers if, because you're caught up in the hype. I think the most important thing for a laser is if you have poor eyesight. Fortunately, I have good eyesight, but if you have glasses, like I said, they drop off, and then the laser is great for you. What do you think? Do you like it? Please throw in your comments. We're all in this together. We're all trying to learn from each other. I appreciate everybody. Let's talk about the topic of lasers on guns. Thank you, my friends. Bye-bye.